Coming up next is Media News number 156. Is an all-franchise media news. In it, we're going to have stories on The Man from U.N.C.L.E., Perry Mason, Micronauts. What am I missing here?
Perry Mason.
Twilight Zone. Twilight Zone. And that masked rider of the Old West, the Cisco Kid. No, Lone Ranger. All that and more coming right up.
Oh, Cisco. What?
It's good old JR and Comic Book Man with Media News. Go ahead, learn something. I dare you.
Very good. Wiffle, waffle, they both sound delicious. Media News, episode 156, The Singing Cyborg.
See how he is?
Hey folks, how you doing? Comic Book Man here. Welcome once again to my video hothouse. Oh, we're just bathing in the glories of Captain America. Don't ask, you don't want to know.
I'm distracted.
This is Media News, and Media News is coming to you from this place.
What's this place?
Alternate Reality, which I'll think I have the T's. Alternate Reality, which is located at the intersection of 111th and Kedzie in beautiful downtown Mount Greenwood. Alternate Reality, where all new comics are 15% off every day for everyone, including all my Captain America comics. And fortunately, we are not going to talk about the Star Spangled Adventure at all.
Why not?
In this update, because this is an all franchise Media News update. And our first story up involves sort of a superhero, the masked rider of the Old West,
Yes,
the Lone Ranger.
Disney's
Lone
The
Ranger,
Lone Ranger,
which they poop can't.
For those of you loyal fans of the Video Outhouse, you know we've been following this story because it's hot.
It's on, it's off, it's on, it's
It's
off.
This was the $275 million Lone Ranger movie that Disney was going to make, and suddenly Disney.
and one executive said, Excuse me?
Yeah.
$275 million is shot in the Old West? What?
Lone Ranger in
Why
space.
does God need $275 million to make a Lone Ranger
Yeah,
movie?
exactly.
And Jerry Bruckheimer, who's producing the film, who also produced the Pirates of the Caribbean movies,
Yes.
who has Johnny Depp as the star of the Lone Ranger,
Said, I'm Bruckheiser. Of course that's how much it's
and
costing.
Disney said no, it's not going to cost that much. So they
There's the
actually pulled the plug on the project.
Yes,
And
they did.
pulled the plug. God bless Disney for doing that, because that took some cojones for them to do.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry Bruckheimer went in and got his red pen and started cutting here and cutting a cut here, a cut there.
And he managed to slash the budget to the point where they could shoot it. How about that?
$215 million.
Wait. How much was it originally?
$275.
And he cut it down to what?
$215. $60 million.
So he cut $60 million out of that over the course of what, 20 minutes?
And here's how you do it, Comic Book Man. How do you go to that
Oh,
place?
this is all the graft that I larded in.
The principal players in the film, that would be Bruckheimer, the director,
Well, yeah.
Johnny Depp, whoever the other main star is in that thing, Armie Hammer, who's playing the Lone Ranger, are all taking 20% pay cuts
Oh, how nice
on
of
the
them.
film. Yes, and there are also several of them, they're not saying who, several of these people are deferring their payments entirely until the box office receipts start coming in.
Let's see if it makes any
And
money.
we'll see if it makes any money. Now, Jerry Bruckheimer has also said that if he goes over Disney's allotment of $215 million,
He'll pay for it out of his own pocket.
exactly, which means not one dime over $215 million, Comic Book Man.
Yeah.
If Johnny Depp wants some extra lettuce on his sandwich, he
Go
ain't
get it!
Yeah,
Does somebody
exactly.
think that
He ain't getting
215
it.
is still a ridiculous amount of money?
$215 million. And you know how else they also slashed the budget, Comic Book Man? Several scenes have bitten the dust.
The aliens?
The
The werewolves?
A long train sequence, supposedly an exciting train chase type of sequence, is gone. Also,
You mean the flying train?
also, are you sitting, Comic Book Man?
Yes.
A supernatural coyote scene.
Yeah, we sort of talked about that before. Silver bullets, werewolves,
Yes,
Lone Ranger.
yes.
Why does he need silver bullets? Werewolves.
Why does the Lone Ranger have a supernatural coyote scene? in the
Yeah.
comic book?
Silver bullets? You got to justify the silver bullets.
I guess.
Did
Why
you say
isn't- why-
coyote or peyote?
Well, they're not wolf. Well, that's right, wolfmen, but yeah, supernatural coyotes. So yeah, now, Marvel fans, this is a sideline to this story.
Yes.
Because the film got scuttled for a few months, so they could cut the budget.
Yeah.
The start time on the film has been shifted by 5 months, which
Well, yeah.
means the release date for the film has
Good
been
pushback.
shifted from May 13th. I'm sorry. Yes, it will now go from December of 2012
Not a Christmas release.
to May of 2013.
Summer release.
Which means that Thor 2, which was originally supposed to come out in May of 2013, has now been scuttled to November of 2013 because the Lone Ranger is taking its slot.
Okay.
So you Thor fans out there, you're gonna have to wait 6
Doesn't
months.
this
You got to wait for the Lone Ranger.
You gotta have
Doesn't
to-
this put 4 pirate movies in franchise?
This probably
Jeopardy
does.
too?
Well, no, this probably means that Bruckheimer keeps the Pirate franchise alive.
I would assume the Pirates film would supersede everything
Well,
at this point.
as a sideline to that, the rumor is that the next 2 Pirates films will shoot back to back.
You know what I think?
What?
Anyway, our next story.
Don't distract me. Don't distract me.
Where did he get his motorcycle? Why did he get his motorcycle back?
Our next story. Twilight Zone.
Twilight Zone.
Twilight Zone. Twilight
Yes.
Zone is coming back. Twilight Zone is coming back.
As a feature
Another
film.
franchise.
Yet again, if you remember in the 80s, this was done as a
Who could
feature
forget,
film.
man?
once
Old
before.
boy Vic Morrow died
Exactly.
there.
It was 3 stories with a bookend with Dan Aykroyd and Albert Brooks. This time, however, Warner Brothers is
Actually, it was
doing-
4 stories.
Was it 4 stories?
Yeah, 4 stories. The Vic Morrow one, Kick the Can.
Yes, the Billy Money
plane,
one.
The plane thing with Shatner,
Yeah,
which
and the
was
Billy
John
Money.
Lithgow.
Yes, you're right.
Billy
4
Money.
stories. This time it's going to be one single story.
2 hours.
2 hours. The director. Now, originally the rumor was Chris.
A side note: the original Twilight Zone. Its last season, they did hour-long episodes, and those are
didn't work.
generally considered the stinky
It
ones.
didn't work exactly. Now the rumor was that after Dark Knight Returns finished up,
Yeah.
Chris Nolan was keen to do the Twilight Zone. He's picked another project. What that is, we don't know yet. Warner's has found another director, and that director is Cloverfield's Matt Reeves.
Okay.
He will be directing the reboot of The Twilight Zone for feature films. Leonardo DiCaprio is producing the film, who seems to be producing everything these days.
Well, good for him.
Yeah.
Well, he was producing not Judge Dredd.
Akira.
Akira.
Yeah,
we
think
talked about that
it,
before.
Cloverfield played like a Twilight Zone.
Yeah, a really nauseating
Yeah.
Twilight. He also directed Let Me In. I forgot to mention that he directed Let Me In as well. Horror film.
There's a franchise out there, a toy franchise, that has not been turned into a movie yet, which is coming your way. We've done Transformers, we've done G.I. Joe, and coming up soon is going to
Silly
be...
putty.
Micronauts. Yes, the Zombieland and G.I. Joe sequel writers, Paul Wernick and Rhett Reese, have been hired to write a feature film for J.J. Abrams, who is producing a Micronauts feature film. Now,
Well, maybe you can not turn it into something that's not stinky.
Micronauts was actually called Micro Man when it was in Japan. When they
was
came
it?
over, yeah, and they brought it over here. They changed it to Micronauts. It was actually from what I understand, the precursor to Transformers. It was before.
Nope, I would
Trans-
have to say, yeah.
Yeah.
Micronauts, well, as an entity, Micronauts came out before Transformers.
Right.
Yeah, as a toy. But, it's still a toy.
Side note, I mentioned that it's the screenwriters of Zombieland. And those of you saying, hey, isn't there going to be a Zombieland? Didn't you guys talk about a Zombieland sequel coming up?
Deuce.
That's changed. Yes and no. It's not going to be a feature
The zombies
film.
are going to be in Micronauts.
Well, we all know Walking Dead is a big hit on television, so you know what that means. Television needs more zombies. So Zombieland screenwriters, the same ones, Paul Wernick and Rhett Reese, are writing a pilot for a Zombieland TV series spin-off described as a half-hour comedy.
Great.
Take that as you will.
So you zombies out there,
Yeah.
get to Hollywood.
Yeah, zombies are laughs.
Hey, zombies, start working on your stand-up.
Yeah. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Another big franchise from
Take it out,
television
please.
is The Man from U.N.C.L.E.,
Yes.
which is coming back to theaters or
Theatrical feature
theatrical
film
release
from
which it's never had. It's never had a theatrical.
Well, sort of, kind of. Remember, they took a couple of episodes and mushed them together.
Oh,
and
they
threw 'em out
released
as
them
theatrically.
theatrically. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
they
doesn't
did that like 6 times too.
That doesn't count.
Steven Soderbergh, who is a high-profile director in Hollywood, you guys probably best know him from the Ocean's films. The first one was good, the rest weren't so good. But
Yeah.
he is directing the Man from U.N.C.L.E. feature film. Originally, his pal, George Clooney, was going to play Napoleon Solo. Clooney has stepped out to do another film. He has been replaced by Bradley Cooper of the Hangover films. So Bradley
Great.
Cooper will be playing Napoleon Solo. We don't have an Elia Kyriakin yet.
Man from U.N.C.L.E. never did anything for me.
Well,
I mean, you're a Man from U.N.C.L.E. fan, but
I enjoyed it.
never really
I
did anything
can't say
for
I'm a
me.
fan, but I mean,
Yeah.
it came out of that whole James Bond milieu of the '60s, super spy with gadgets.
I'm a big Flint guy.
Flint, yeah.
Our last story up is one more TV franchise,
Oh, my
which is
God.
rocketing your way as a big screen film.
Yes, it is.
It's a big screen
yes,
film.
it is.
And that is the Raymond Burr franchise, Perry Mason.
Perry Mason.
Of course,
is
Raymond
coming
Burr's
back.
dead.
Yes,
He's not coming
yes.
back,
And
but-
you know who's going to be playing him?
Who?
Iron Man.
A zombie.
Oh, really?
Robert Downey,
Robert Downey Jr.
Not
Better
only
start
will-
packing the weight on.
Well, not only, not
Better
only will
start
he-
eating those milkshakes.
Robert Downey Jr. is head and shoulders knee deep in Perry Mason right now, because not only is he starring in the film, his
Yeah.
production company, along with his wife, who's also co-partners in the production company,
Okay.
are producing the film. They're producing the film as well, based on Earl Stanley Gardner. You know what the beauty of this story is, comic book man? I
What?
love this. Robert Downey Jr. is going to play Perry Mason. The film will be set in the 30s, which is great. I'm
Oh, it's a
glad they're
period
not
piece.
exactly. They're doing it. All the people will be there. Della Street, Drake, all those people that were in the stories are going to be there. It's going to take place in the 30s. Earl Stanley Gardner wrote 82 novels.
He wrote a bunch of them, yeah.
Dozens of short stories, and you know what they're going to do? Robert Downey Jr. has an idea for an original Perry Mason story. We're not going to plumb any of the books. We're not going to plumb any of the short stories. We're going to create an original story. I always kind of bristles me a little bit when they do that stuff.
So he's setting it in the right period. For those of you who don't, those of you who just know Perry Mason from the '60s TV series, '50s and '60s TV series, Earl Stanley Gardner actually wrote those books back in the '30s and '40s.
Yep.
So it was set during the '30s and '40s, and now I guess they're going to take it back to its original
is great.
period, but they're not going to use any of the original
stories,
novels,
which makes no sense to me at all.
It sounds sort of like that Shadow movie they did with what's his face.
Alec
it was
Baldwin.
set in the right period, but they didn't use anything from the.
Yeah, they
from
decided
the
to do
originals.
their own thing.
There was
So,
one
you
great
know.
scene in that whole movie, but it was a great scene.
Yeah.
When he finally shows up in his cape, his
Oh,
Yeah.
that's towards the
bill and
beginning of
stuff.
the
Just
film.
toward
Yeah.
the end, actually.
Yeah. There it is. Do we want to sneak this in, Comic Book?
Great scene.
No.
No, we're no.
And that's it.
That's a tease.
That's it. We're
We
done. We're
sneak
finished. We're
peek.
out of here. We got no more media news, but you can go to
No.
the store's website, check out all the media news that Bo sends me, and I post up. And where's the store's website at?
We don't know what Sarah does.
For crying out loud. It's the name of the store with a my in front of it.
So stop off at the store's website and check out all Bo's media news. Until next time, this is Comic Book Man
And this is Ilya Kuryakin.
saying goodbye.
Kami.
The Video Outhouse is brought to you by some of the finest people willing to work for free. This is a list of some of them.